Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Gopi Jannavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jannavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jannavallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jannavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaganandana Yashodanandana Yashodanandana Braja Janaganandana Yashodanandana Ramunatira Manata Hari Amna Tirana Manata Yamunatira Manata Hari Yamunatira Manata Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Prabhupada ki jai, Amrita Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gautama Hari Hari. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 88. The chapter is entitled Lord Shiva Saved from Vrikasura. And we are reading verse 9. First we'll chant. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Sayada Vidatho Dyogo. I'll just read the Sanskrit. Actually, we'll read the verse in more detail, which we're going to speak about. Nirvinasya dhane haya matparai krita maitrasya karishe madanugraham. Translation. When he becomes frustrated in his attempts to make money and instead befriends my devotees, I bestow my special mercy upon him. So just a little context here before we read on. Anyone remembers which verse we read yesterday? Tripalapu, the beautiful class.
Famous verse of how the Lord reciprocated his devoted by taking everything away.
Yes. It says, Yasyaham anugrinamihi. Harishe tadhanam shanaya. If I truly bestow my mercy upon someone, Harishe, Hari, he takes. Hari means one who takes. Hari means thief also. Hari also means lion. But the lion takes away the prey. So Harishe, I will take away Tadhanam, his wealth, gradually. Tato dhanam tyajantyasya swajana dukha dukhitam. Such a person, then after that, after I take away his wealth, what happens?
He suffers. Relatives abandon him.
Yeah, so that person becomes adhanam, without wealth, and dukha dukhitam. Suffers misery after misery. Yeah. And then Tajanti Asya Sojana, his relatives and friends abandon him. So then Krishna speaks this verse, what happens after. So this is in sequence. When he thus becomes frustrated in his attempts to make money and instead befriends my devotees, I bestow my special mercy upon him. So it's not that just Krishna makes the person suffer, but creates a situation in which that soul becomes inclined to take shelter, to befriend the devotees. And that is truly his mercy, Krishna's mercy. And then from that, so much mercy comes. So then Krishna describes that mercy in the next verse. Tad brahma paramam sukshmam chinmatram sadanantakam vigyayatmate adhira samsarat parimuchyate. A person who has thus become sober fully realizes the absolute as the highest truth, the most subtle and perfect manifestation of spirit, the transcendental existence without end. In this way, realizing that supreme truth is the foundation of his own existence, he's freed from the cycle of material life. So Krishna here basically describes that person, by his mercy, becomes elevated to the Brahma Bhuta, the spiritual platform, in which we see all living entities as equal. And as Krishna describes in the Gita, when at that stage, one can render pure devotional service to him. So Krishna's mercy lifts one above the material modes of nature to the spiritual platform, and then the devotee becomes liberated. Ato mam suduraradhyam. Next verse, 11. Hidvanyan bhajate jana tatasta ashutoshebhyo labdha raja shriyo dhata mata pramata varadhan vismayantya avajanate. Translation. Because, amazing verse, because I'm difficult to worship, people generally avoid me and instead worship other deities who are quickly satisfied. When people receive kingly opulences from these deities, they become arrogant, intoxicated with pride, and neglectful of their duties. They dare to offend even the demigods who bestowed benedictions upon them. Shishukavacha Shapa Prasadaya Risha Brahma Vishnu Shivadaya Sadya Shapa Prasadanga Shivo Brahma Nachachutaha. Shukadev Goswami said, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and others are able to curse or bless one. Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are very quick to curse or bestow benedictions, my dear king. But the infallible Supreme Lord is not. So the Lord is not so eager to immediately bless or to immediately curse. Atra cho daharanti mam itihasam puratanam prakasuraya girisho varam dattvapi shankatam. In this connection, an ancient historical account is related concerning how the Lord of Kailas mountain, Lord Shiva, was put into danger by offering a choice of benedictions to the demon Vrika. Vriko namasura putra shakune patinaradam drishtva sutosham prapracha deveshu trisha durmatihi. The demon Vrika, the demon named Vrika, a son of Shakunis, once met Narada on the road. The wicked fellow asked him which of the three chief gods could be pleased most quickly. In other words, not interested in the worship, but in the result. So now Narada Muni will instruct him. Narada Muni has very wonderful ways of instructing different people. Saha devam girisham upadhava shusiddhyasi yopabhyam gunadoshabhyam ashutushati kupyati. Narada told him, worship Lord Shiva and you will soon achieve success. He quickly becomes pleased by seeing his worshipper's slightest good qualities and quickly angered by seeing his slightest fall. Darshasya banayosh tushta stuvator vandinoriva aishwaryamatulam datva tata apa susankatam. He became pleased with 10-headed Ravana and also with Bana, who, when they chanted his glories, when they each chanted his glories, like bards in a royal court, Lord Shiva then bestowed unprecedented power upon each of them. But in both cases, he was constantly beset with great difficulty. Purport. Ravana worshipped Lord Shiva to gain power and then misused that power to uproot the Lord's residence, sacred Kailas Parvata. On Banasura's request, Lord Shiva agreed to personally guard Bana's capital, and later he had to fight for Bana against Sri Krishna and his sons. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishwakanvitam Shri Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabandho Naganate Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavani Rishabhanusude Pranamami Ancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Dvaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bhakti Vacham Gamam Langayate Girimit Kripatam Vande Shri Gurum Nidrayam. Pray for the blessings of all the devotees present, senior devotees here, Jana Prabhu, Adi Kush Prabhu, Amitai Prabhu, and all devotees present here online. Thank you so much for being here, for giving your valuable time, your Sangha, so that we can all come together and hear Srimad Bhagavatam.
We should continue to bless you. Hear about it,
So we hear in this chapter really what mercy is about, what true mercy is. And it's not always what it seems. In the general conception of life, people worship. They always worship, practically always starts from the attitude of karma kanda. from the sense of I'm in this world and I don't have certain things which I need, and I have certain things I have which I want to protect. That's called yoga kshema. Yoga is, in this context, means I need certain things I don't have, and kshema means protection, what I have. So religion is mostly motivated by quickly getting what I need and preserving what I have. So with that intention, people generally, worship God or the demigods. And in the Vedic context, mostly the demigods, because people have a sense that they will give the results more quick. But Krishna doesn't so quickly give results like that, because Krishna is not interested in giving material results to the one, any soul worships him. Krishna is interested in a relationship with each and every jiva. Unlike all other demigods, Krishna actually has an eternal relationship with each and every jiva. So Krishna's interest is to engage in a relationship with each of us, and that relationship should be on the basis of pure love. Like Krishna wants to give himself to everyone, but he doesn't give himself unless the motivation is pure, unless he can trust that jiva who's approaching me actually really wants me and not something related to me or something from my energy. And therefore, as Krishna says in verse 11, because people generally don't want that. They don't want Krishna. They don't want that relationship. They don't even want liberation, generally speaking, from material existence, which is just a byproduct from surrendering to Krishna with a pure heart and establishing one's eternal relationship with him. That's why Krishna says in verse 11, because I'm difficult to worship, I'm not so easily pleased, I don't so easily give benedictions. If I see that it's actually not, if those benedictions further entangle a person in material existence, I don't give them. So that's why Krishna says, I'm difficult to worship. I don't give things so quickly. So people generally avoid me, Krishna says, and worship other deities who are quickly satisfied. But then what happens when they're quickly satisfied, when those deities are satisfied and they get material benedictions? Yeah, when you get material opulence, then Janmaishwarya Shuta Sribhir Edhaman Dapuman Naivar Hatya Vidhatum Tvam Kinchan Gocharam. Queen Kunti prays that when one receives material benedictions, what are those? Material opulences? There's four.
Janmishwar Shuta.
Yes. Janma, high birth, or even if one doesn't have a high birth, you want to be with people of high birth and parental influence. High birth means influence in society. So you want to get in there with them. So Janma, Aishwarya, wealth. Of course, wealth gives you access to all the other opulences, really. Influence, power, all kinds of enjoyment. Shruta, learning. Learning gives power and influence and status in society. Shri, beauty. So generally when people have these opulences, then they become Janmaishwarya Shruta. Edamana madah pumaha. The person becomes madaha, becomes mad. The word madaha is for pride. It also means madness. So pride is a kind of madness. There's a nice story I've heard, how accurate it is, but it's still a nice story. But disciples walking with Srila Prabhupada, and then when the disciple is proud, sometimes I become proud. Oh, just looked at him. What is there to be proud of? Like he just kind of, he's just a fallen soul in this material world, and even if you're proud of your learning a spiritual life, but what is it? It's so paltry, it's so little. We're so nothing. Even the pauper is proud of his penny in the material world. It says so quickly. Whatever little opulence we get, although it's so insignificant, although there's small little ants in this world, whatever little bit we get, we tends to infatuate our ego. It's very unfortunate. So madha, it's pride is a type of madness. Like if you see like an ant walking around, and we don't know the life of the ant, but let's say if that ant was like very proud, walking around, look at me, how beautiful, how powerful, how rich I am, how much, I can collect every single day more than any other ant in my neighborhood. We would think this ant is mad, it's ridiculous. It's just an ant. So that is our situation. So and then and when people actually become very powerful, we see this all around. It's so prevalent in the world. They even dare to offend demigods who bestow benedictions on them. So that's the whole point of this story. That Lord Shiva quickly gives these benedictions, and people become very, very material opulent. Interestingly, Lord Shiva himself is not material opulent at all. And that's the question of how this chapter started. Lord Shiva doesn't even have a house. And Krishna is the husband of the goddess of fortune. Yet we see the worships of Lord Shiva become very, very opulent. Very interesting answer of Shukadeva Goswami. The Lord Shiva actually is the master of material nature, the material energy. And so when people worship him, and that material energy blesses them. But the material energy cannot give spiritual benedictions. So as a result, those who are blessed by him become very opulent, and they become very proud, so much so that they start to create trouble for him. And now Muni says that when he meets Vrika along the road, he asks him, like, who should I worship? You worship Lord Shiva. So, and then he gives some examples of people who became very, very opulent by Lord Shiva and created trouble for him as well. He's kind of predicting the course of what's going to happen to Vrikasura. So he gives so this is what the purport is about. He became pleased with 10-headed Ravana and also with Bana when they each chanted his glories, like bards in a royal court. Now, do bards in a royal court generally are very devoted to the king? Sometimes, maybe so, but mostly they flatter. Yeah, they flatter the king to get, whatever they need to be maintained. Even though the king has all kinds of bad qualities, the bards will glorify the king, and they'll get a good remuneration for it. So Ravana, he worshipped Lord Shiva, and at some point Ravana became very opulent. He defeated Kuvera. This story is described in not in the Valmiki Ramayana, but in the Shiva Purana. I did a little research. So at some point, Ravana came to Mount Kailas, and because he had worshipped Lord Shiva before and got all kinds of benedictions from him, defeated Kuvera, became incredibly rich. He got all the wealth of the universe, of the demigods. And so then he ran into Nandi, Lord Shiva's bull, and they had a little altercation. Like he was very disrespectful, being proud of his opulence. And then Nandi kind of cursed him, like, "Oh, you'll be killed by monkeys." So then Ravana became a little agitated. He wanted to show his power. So with his 20 hands, he's attempted to lift up the Kailas mountain. So the mountain was traveling, and Parvati was a little disturbed, but Shiva was totally calm. And Shiva put his toe down, and then Ravana, he got stuck under the mountain for like, I don't know, hundreds of years, it said, like for a long time. So while he was there, he was doing, it was a kind of tapasya for him. He was doing, offering prayers and so on. His prayers are recorded as well. And then Lord Shiva eventually blessed him again. And with those blessings, he did more nonsense, of course. He stole Sita and he's in war with Ram and so on. So, but so yeah, he was creating by the benedictions he got. He created more trouble for Lord Shiva. And the same for Bana Sura. Bana also is an Asura, a person of demonic temperament. So Bana was a devotee of Lord Shiva and worshipped him very nicely. And he got a benediction of having 1,000 arms for Lord Shiva. And in the beginning, he was very nice. He was playing drums for Lord Shiva as Lord Shiva was dancing. And then Lord Shiva gave him more blessings, that he would be very powerful. And then he offered him, choose any benediction. So what did he ask? What did Bana Sura ask for Lord Shiva?
Who were the opponent?
No, that's after.
1,000 arms. So
That he already got. But then he used his arms to play drums for Lord Shiva.
He wanted to fight with him?
Sorry?
You wanted to fight with him?
No, that's after. He said, please become the guardian of my city. That's the benediction he had. So he's a very powerful person with 1,000 arms. He's Lord Shiva's guardian of a city. Now it's like no one to fight with. No one, I can't use my arms and fight. There's no, you are here. I have these powerful arms. Like nobody can stand up against me. So then he became disturbed. And he complained to Lord Shiva, like this benediction you give me is useless. Like there's no one to fight with me. So then Lord Shiva became angry. He said, like very soon you'll be destroyed and you'll be relieved of your pride. So of course then Lord Krishna appeared to take care of things, cut off all his arms and so on. And then, but then Lord Shiva, because he's the guardian of the city, he had to fight with Lord Krishna. That's described. I think that was earlier described already. Yes. So again, created so much trouble. So we see this sequence of getting benedictions, getting in trouble by them, and then even troubling the very person you received the benedictions from. So this brings up the question, what's real mercy? So real mercy, there's the Shiva has two aspects of giving mercy. One is called kripa, actual mercy, and the other is vanchana, cheating. So Sri Gaur Govinda Maharaj explains that every sadhu has these two aspects. There's the vanchana, there's cheating, and there's mercy. For those who are very serious and very sincere, they get actual kripa. They get actual mercy. Which is, what is true mercy? What does true mercy lead to?
devotion service.
Yeah, pure devotional service, by which you can, what do you get from pure devotional service?
Yeah, opportunity to serve.
And
Prema, love. And what do you get from love? Who gets conquered by that love? Krishna. So you get Krishna. You, by pure devotional service, you conquer the heart of Krishna, and then Krishna gets captured in your heart. And so then what else do you want? When you have Krishna, what else? There's nothing else. That's the greatest treasure. Love for Krishna, by which you become fully immersed in a loving relationship with Krishna. And Krishna becomes captured in your heart. So that's actual kripa. That's mercy. And if someone's actually seriously worshipping Lord Shiva, then he leads that devotee towards gaining that mercy. I know several devotees actually who are worshipping Lord Shiva, but generally, and then Lord Shiva guided them to Krishna.
Madan Gopal was telling us, as a young child, he was worshiping.
Madan Gopal was a young child who was worshipping.
It says Vyas today.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Madan Gopal Prabhu, he died. So, yeah, but then the Vanchana is receiving those benedictions which further take you away from Krishna, and further entangle you in materialism. So what do we want? Prabhupada says, even when you come to the spiritual master, you can get kripa or you can get vanchana. You can get mercy, or you can, get some social position, get some wealth, get some disciples, and so on. Get all the side effects of devotional service. And sometimes even devotees come with a pure intention. They want to serve and so on. But then the byproducts of devotional service come. It's called taranga rangini. You get some position in the society, devotees, some respect. And you may even get some disciples and some followers and some wealth and so on. And then again, you can become intoxicated by those side effects of bhakti. So then you're actually cheated. Then you get sidetracked by the side effects and not actually gaining Krishna and pure devotional service for Krishna. So that's always there. So Krishna, if he's very kind to the devotee, even if the devotee has material interests or gets sidetracked by those material benedictions, he helps. He doesn't give. He may give something to the devotee, but he'll give it in such a way that the desire, this is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, that the desire becomes satisfied in the heart of the devotee, and then they want to give it up, and because they have a taste for pure bhakti. Of course, the example is Dhruva, who worshiped Lord Krishna for something else, but he had also real sincerity in his heart. That's why when Dhruva met Narada Muni, did he tell him, go worship Lord Shiva? You'll very quickly get, no, you worship Lord Shiva, Vishnu, and he explained how to do it, because he saw the sincerity in his heart. With Vrika, he saw no sincerity, so you get full vanchana, just cheated. Because that person will only disturb Lord Krishna. So Dhruva was actually sincere. So then Krishna gave him everything he desired and made him detached from it at the same time. So that is what Krishna does. So he doesn't immediately give it, he still may give it, but then in such a way, and there's a beautiful verse from the Bhagavatam, from the 5th canto, it says that Krishna will give it in such a way that the devotee will give that up and progress towards pure devotion service. So I'll end with some verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita, which describes Krishna's heart, how he sees the devotees who approach him for some material benefits. Krishna kahe ama bhaje maya vishaya sukh amrita chari vishamage evadamurk. Krishna says, if one engages in my transcendental loving service, but at the same time wants the opulence of material enjoyment, he is very, very foolish. Indeed, he's just like a person who gives up nectar to drink poison. A Badamurka. He's a great fool. He wants, I can give him myself, but that person wants to have poison. It causes you to further get entangled in material existence. So does Krishna just give him that? Give on that poison? So that person is very foolish. Krishna says, Ami Vigya E Murke Vishayakena Deva Swacharanam Diya Vishaya Bulaiva. Since I'm very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? And instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. So yes, this is what happens when we approach Krishna. Krishna may bestow, but then in such a way that we forget that and we get a taste for his lotus feet. And in that process, sometimes we may lose, sometimes we may, undergo some difficulty in our material life in order to become materially exhausted. So we should also be very careful in judging devotees, what they're going through. Sometimes a sannyasi may become very proud of their renunciation. And Krishna makes an arrangement to take that pride away. And externally it may look like a scandal or a problem. But it may be just Krishna preparing that person for actually to move up. So we don't quite know how Krishna's working. His plan is always inscrutable. It's very hard to understand. But we know Krishna cares about his devotees who are sincerely approaching him. And if there's any obstacles, he'll make arrangements to help them become free of that. So with that heart, with that confidence, we can worship Krishna very nicely. Okay, whatever Krishna does, it's ultimately for my benefit. His interest, we should be confident of this. His interest is to draw me closer to his lotus feet. And whatever arrangements he makes, I will accept. So thank you all so much. I'm a little over time. Apologies. Any questions or comments? Online, anyone?
Thank you very much, Vasudev. Always lovely to hear you give class, so thank you. And one point to share and one kind of question. When you were mentioning about the bards, I was always thinking, yeah, they just kind of glorify the king. But I was looking it up, and actually they do more than that. They were actually historians and writers, and they were very influential in the king's entourage. They could make or break a king, actually, because they were musicians, so they would also entertain in the court, but evidently they were considered like historians, very knowledgeable, almost on the level of Brahmins, but not Brahmins. So they were very influential people. So it was interesting to read that. I looked at quite a few different places. That's Celtic and also Vedic, Bard, so on and so forth. So they had like quite a prominent position. I always pictured, they would just like be there in the morning. You are a great king, please rise. It's like, but actually they would sing songs more about his lineage and his forefathers and his conquering and like historians. So that's just a interesting point. But somehow, as you were talking about this, I kept remembering this akama sarvakama vamokshakama uduradihi verse. And I was thinking, the Lord encourages us to approach him no matter what, whether we have desires, free from desire, or want liberation, he encourages. So then I was kind of thinking these verses are sort of like purports to that. But I just wondered if you could comment a little bit more on that verse. It's a 2-3-10, akama sarvakama.
Yeah. So the verses preceding that verse, Chinese that were quoted, gives you a whole list of if you want this, worship this demigod. If you want that, worship this demigod, and so on. So, but then after this long list, like 5 verses or 10 verses or so, like all different demigods to worship. Then the Shukadeva Goswami says, Akama, Sarva Kama, whether you have no material desire or all material desires. Moksha Kama, or if you desire liberation, Udaradi, if you're broad-minded, if you see where broad-minded means, if you see where all those benedictions come from, what's the source of it all? Tivrena Bhakti Yoga, engage in intense devotional service. Tivra is like when you feel like the rays of the sun like scorching at you. That's like Tivra, like, you know, at this time of the year at noon, you go out in the sun, you feel the Tivra, the intensity, the power of that sun like burning upon your head. Tivrena Bhakti Yoga, Yajeta Purusha. So a person should worship it that way, whatever material desires you have. So yes, that's there, whatever material desires you have. But in order to Tivra Bhakti, what will you need to do Tivra Bhakti? To have this kind of very intense, like Dhruva Maharaj, he did Tivra Bhakti. There was no like a little bit of bhakti and a little bit of this, and he was like fully into it. So much so that like in 6 months, like the Lord appeared before him, and the whole universe was choking by his austerity. He's the example of this. So what does it take to get to Tivra Bhakti? Can you just do that? Yeah, to whom? Yeah, you have to really, in order to do that kind of Tivra Bhakti, you have to really surrender to a spiritual master. Otherwise, you have no conception of what that even means or how to do that. So that's the thing. What's the Krishna's in this verses? What does he speak about? Like, why does he make all those arrangements of taking the wealth away and so on? To bring a person to making friendship with devotees, where they can take shelter and engage in devotional service. So, whatever it is, you come to the devotees in this destitute way, or you come to the devotees full of material desires, and you approach them in that way. Whatever it is, if you engage in Tivra Bhakti, in intense devotional service, then your heart becomes purified. Then the results will be, then that dual result, you may actually get some of those desires fulfilled, but you also get purified and you get that taste of bhakti. So the important thing is that, yeah, whether you come with all material desires or as a destitute without, desiring just shelter in some way or another of the devotees, as long as you come to the devotees, then, from there all good fortune comes. So that is the essence. So then you can question. I'll ask a follow-up question to everyone. Then why did Narada Muni not tell Vrikasura just engage in pure bhakti? Why didn't he tell him that? He said, "Oh, you worship Lord Shiva."
He wasn't ready to hear. He wasn't at that level. He needed that.
Yes, exactly. He wasn't ready for that. If he was ready, he would have told him that, but he was not. So then even they get some benediction from worshiping the demigod. So that's why that facility is still there. Because not everybody can take that process of Tivra Bhakti. Either because they know, well, ultimately I'll be,
Yeah, it's like the steps you have to ladder. You have to.
Yes. Yeah.
Not
So
everyone can.
Vrikasura did get the mercy eventually. That did get killed by Lord Krishna. No, but he did get darshan of Lord Krishna in the process, who appeared as a brahmachari. And we'll read the story later. But he did get mercy in this way too.
Kind of killed himself, I guess.
Yes, he killed himself
through the intervention of the board.
Yes. So he still received benedictions in that way.
Nice, thank you. Anyone online?
Narottam Nitai Prabhu, you had your hand raised, I think.
Yes. In other words, I had one question, and that is, how do we, in our life, in the devotional life, sometimes there's a lot of devotional activities, sometimes less devotional activities with different festivals, etc. But what I'm trying to ask is, how do we know, like, when to introspect and engage in like anartha nivritti for like our own for our own selves, like whether it's being ready for work or other things like that, or and how do we know that it's just completely surrender with the devotees in kirtan and and festivals, etc. So but how do we know how to, I guess, balance the both, or how can we do both in parallel? Because sometimes I feel that if there's some self work needed in order to be able to be ready every day, for work, for different engagements we have.
So the question going for you. So a very short answer. We have to read and we have to hear, because in that we dive into devotional services, festivals, hearing, chanting, and so on. But in our personal practice, we need to hear, we need to read, because in that process we can reflect on naturally that Shastra is like a mirror. We can see ourselves in it. There we can truly find introspection and see where we're at and what my motivations are and so on. So introspective reading, spending time with Shastra, through hearing classes, through reading, that's extremely important to purify our motivations. And then, of course, Krishna helps.
Good. Jai
Jai.
Jai.
The lotus feet.
The Lord great Master. And the only way by which we can obtain your devotion and service. I bow down to the lotus feet, with great awe and reverence. By His grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from His lotus mouth. Attachment to His lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord birth after birth. From Him ecstatic prema emanates, and by Him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of His character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. Oh, Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. May your fame be spread all over the three worlds. Take shelter at your lotus feet. Jai, Jai.
Thank you, dear devotees. Welcome to the Afterglow. If you have a question or a reflection, feel free to share. Bhima Prabhu can answer any question regarding wealth. Krishna Kumari is here also. Krishna Kumar, are you available to answer questions if we have any? Or at least report on your vow, Krishna Kumari.
I take a screenshot of the Lord, and I was still looking at that screenshot so I can really look at Radha Muralidhar. Today, it was as if Radha Muralidhar was doing a sidelong glance at Muralidhar. Radharani was sidelong glancing Muralidhar. Very sweet. Lots of devotion in those flowers. They're all wanting to get as close to the Lord's body as possible.
Thank you, Krishna Kumari. Yeah, we're all here worried about things, concerned. Things come up for us in life, but Krishna and Radharani are exchanging love, and we are invited and included in the exchange if we want to. And everything else will fall into place, apparently. Has it fallen into place for you, Krishna Kumari?
Of course. Yeah. We just gotta have a lot of love in every moment. And I really liked what I heard the other day from Madan Mohan, Madan Gopal Prabhu, stringing our little bits of devotion. Like, not aspiring to be pure and perfect, but just looking at the little acts of devotion, the moments where we do bring Krishna into the center, into our decision making, and just stringing them along.
Yeah, we're just adding Krishna one day at a time, one prayer at a time. We're including Krishna in our situation here. And Krishna is very auspicious. Externally, things may still be difficult, but on the inside, the software for a devotee is entirely different. And the devotee handles life in a very different way. Yeah. Thank you, Krishna Kumari. Would anyone else like to say anything? It's an open mic. It's a happy Saturday. Min, our inadvertent co-host, is raising her hand. Go ahead, Min.
Kumari, I think Krishna Kumari has transcendentalized completely.
I
I
think so
don't know
too.
how she's seeing all these activities on the altar, and
She
it,
takes screenshots. That's cheating.
but still, she sends me those pictures sometimes, and I see them, and I can't really see that much. It's sort of like Adipurusha seeing the paintings, and he's just seeing all the details, and so Krishna Kumari is like that. I imagine her seeing the deities and just being there with them. It's really cool. I wish
Yeah.
I could get there someday. The cool thing about coming here every day is that I'm starting to realize that very often I tell myself, "Oh, I want to be like them. I want to be like Krishna Kumari. I want to be
All,
like
all,
Ananda
all it
Vihaర."
takes is you just got to buy a bottle of Anjana off of me. I'm selling them. I've got like a couple of cases that I've made. And if you just take this Anjana and just smear it on your eyes, you'll be able to see like Krishna Kumari and be a fanatic devotional service
What is
soldier.
Anjana?
Anjana is a salve of love.
Mm.
It's a salve. They say it's in the Vedas, so it's actually a salve. It's actually something you can grab and smear on your eyes. I don't know anything about it, but I hear that's the stuff. That's the
Apparently,
drug du
that's what Krishna
jour.
Kumari did. You can ask her.
Yeah, she's always rubbing her eyes. I think it's whether she's
Yeah.
crying or just rubbing the anjana in.
And she's rubbing the Anjana into the phone too.
So on Thursday, I sliced my finger. I got 4 stitches. I was trying to take a pit out of an avocado with a cheap knife, you know. But actually, before that, I was listening to
According to Srimad
Madan.
Bhagavatam, Krishna Kumari, according to Srimad Bhagavatam,
I
your
should have cut
finger.
my whole arm off.
Exactly. Yes.
I know, I've heard. So anyway, yeah, I was listening to Madan Gopal's This Nectar of Instruction, and it was talking about like cravings, and I had had a grapefruit that morning. And I was thinking like, oh, why am I still so hungry? And I was like, oh, last 2 weeks ago you had an avocado too. And I was like, no, just get past it. Everybody has cravings. But then I went to have this avocado. I sliced my finger. So I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have even tried. But I go to the, emergency, and the doctor tells me I'm going to have to get Novocaine. Like, no, I really don't like injections. And he's like, well, the needle is bigger for the stitches, and I can't do it unless you take the Novocaine. So, well, I'm not taking the Novocaine. So I might have to go somewhere else to another, hospital. And then he says, it's really, really going to hurt. And the nurse just finally stepped in, and she's like, just proceed, like, and I didn't get it then, but they just thought like I was going to ask for the Novocaine. So I sat down and I just started chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. And like after the second stitch, he was like, wow. Like, didn't need the Novocaine. Anyway, I told him it was nothing actually. I got a I went as a devotee in Radha Govinda Mandir. I was 18. I never had a cavity, and then somehow I went to some devotee dentist, and he just wanted to fill all our teeth. But I thought, okay, but anyway, he didn't really do me a very good service. But he was the free dentist for all the devotees. If you're still out there, thank you very much. all the devotees in the temple. But anyway, and then I had all these feelings I probably didn't even need. But anyway, getting these fillings removed was so much worse than these stitches, I have to tell you. And Krishna, yeah, if you put your attention there, you can get through anything, endure. But I am looking for more ease in my life. Thank you, Krishna devotees. Please give me some more ease. Hare Krishna.
She's
That's
worried about
up
her
to
finger
Krishna.
where some of us are walking around with our heads cut off. I'm the other day I put my head in a guillotine called Bad Decision, and then the guillotine came down, and I took the Novocaine. I'm on the Novocaine right now. I've decided to go chronically on Novocaine. Sorry, Krishna Kumari. If I had such problems as yours, I think I would be just as ecstatic. But yeah, man, Krishna really puts everyone through their paces according to, and then he gives you a means by which to surmount them. That's the real test. Here's a little test. Let's see if you can make it over this steeple. You know, let's see if you can make it over this barrier. Do a little climbing. Let me see how sincere you are. Those are we're getting cut. The material world is a death by 1,000 cuts. The material world. This is not Bhima getting down. This is just talking facts here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhima. Sadhvi Didi has her hand up.
Hare Krishna, and thank you very much for today. In my reading of the books, I read a lot, and in my reading, what I have got understanding is whatever is happening, it's predestined from the previous life, this life, and life afterward. And at the same time, all the planets gets to do their job, whatever they do, regardless to what I'm doing, what I'm trying, it will happen. But we may get strength to fight it or to get through it, regardless of the pain, of the problem, of the whatever. Do I understand it right or is wrong?
Krishna Kumari.
I can
Purush Prabhu is here.
I can mention, for instance, that Srimad Bhagavatam 6, chapter 1, and in 49, that's where I read about this Brigu Samhita. The Prabhupada says that according to that Brigu Samhita, our life is predestined from the previous life, now, and the life here after. So that is what I mean. In my understanding, it means it is written, but how much you get strength is by what you're practicing.
Yeah.
And what I'm practicing, in my understanding, is when I know why it's happening, it's make it easier for me than when I don't know. You know what I mean? So, for instance, when I know why I'm having pain, there is a problem and this is why, okay, then it's easier for me to stand, to endure the pain and not to complain or cry or go to the doctor and ask for help. You know what I mean? When you know that.
Unknown, you're saying. Yeah. That makes total sense. Then you worry more.
Yes. And another thing that I kind of don't understand or I have learned, I have studied, I understand. But at the same time, we talk about Nrsimha and Prahlad's father. Oh my God, what is his name?
Hiranyakashipu.
Hiranyakashipu, yes. In actuality, Hiranyakashipu is one of the doorkeeper to Lord Vishnu, right?
Him and his brothers.
Yes. And in reality is in that reality, which it says that they chose to be born as a demon 3 times. So doesn't that make their act as a devotion to the Supreme Lord? Because they got cursed because they were not really guilty, but still the curse has to go through. And that is the pastime, their act is a pastime for Supreme Lord, right?
Yeah. It's beautiful, right? So complex. Like we can't figure any of it out. You know, that's what makes it like, you know, when people question the Bhagavatam, you know, it's like there's layers upon layers upon layers. You know, Krishna, just even how our bodies work is so complex. Like, you know, what they're finding out today, they thought was something else, you know, 100 years ago. But, you know, Krishna has made everything so perfect. And I guess it's about that, like when we're questioning, right? Or when we're having faith, shraddha in the perfection, right? So if something happens to you, you think, okay,
there's one thing that I am still not clear. Are the soul intelligent or not?
yes,
Soul,
full of wisdom. Yeah,
I know the Supreme
Yeah, look
Soul.
at Bhima.
Yeah, mine
Look
is
at
a
Bhima.
dumbass. My soul wears
the
a
line
dunce
of
cap
danger.
and sits in the corner. That's all I gotta
Is
say.
it- yeah, there's one exception, Sadhvi. Yeah, it's Bhima.
Sadhvi now turned her microphone off. She doesn't want us to hear her laugh in ecstasy.
I'm so sorry, but I really
Never apologize for laughing, especially at Bhima.
because in what I have understood now, it was yesterday when I was sitting and reading, and you know, I read a lot. Look here, this is my book of what I'm reading. This is the Srimad Bhagavatam, and when I read it, it says that the soul, Prabhupada says, an intelligent soul. Our soul are we are not. The soul is not intelligent, and that's what. Then how can the soul's choice be right?
The choice is right when it's connected with Krishna. So I don't know what in reference Prabhupada was talking there, but definitely, you know, if we're choosing to come to the material world and go through all of what, it's rough, not very intelligent to make this leap from the spiritual world. But I'm not sure the exact quote from Prabhupada.
A devotee once asked Prabhupada, "What is our intelligence?" And Prabhupada said, "Krishna is your intelligence." So that when we do make the right decision, when we do focus on the right vision, when we do set the right goals, when we do have the right consciousness, when we screw our head on rightly, That's Krishna, all glories. That's Krishna and Prabhupada. And then, of course, Krishna, how did he come in? And was he whispering in my ear? No, he was talking through the scripture. He was talking through the guru. He was talking through the sadhus, the people we respect. So we start, it's sort of like a natural humility in school. You go to school and you go to medical school or something like that. You got to sit back, you got to watch, you got to listen, you got to learn, you got to repeat, you got to practice. But it was all given to us. And then, of course, every wrong decision, and especially with your devotee, and you have like a little bit of sincerity, even 1%, Krishna's going to take some action right away, instant karma. He's going to say, okay, now you learn the lesson. When my dogs, if they do something wrong and I come in later and it's already been done and they're not even near the thing they did wrong, like the pillow they tore into 1,000 pieces, to punish them, Krishna knows, at least from me, that he has to catch me in the act and it's got to be immediate. So all our wrong decisions are also, we're just waiting for Krishna to respond. And that increases our faith as well. That we understand that Krishna actually cares so much, like a parent that'll grab us by the scruff of the neck, maybe even the back of the head, if we should be walking out into the traffic of the material world. And so if all those questions that you have, Mataji, is schooling. We need schooling. There's a lyric, you need schooling, baby, I'm not fooling, you know? So we come down here, apparently, according to most religions, if not all of them, this is a place, this is our purgatory, this is our place to learn stuff independently and make choices with a freedom. And that freedom is a symptom of the thing that makes us special as opposed to the animals, which is that freedom to choose to actually turn around and become conscious of Krishna in our lives, which is an easy thing to do, whether you're doing right or wrong, because if you always are thinking of Krishna, then you see that, oh, Jesus, intelligence was disseminated to me at just the right time, so that I could make the right decision, or now I understand, can't wait to realize, or, oh, wow, I tried to get away with that, and look at that, look what happened. Krishna cares. He's trying to tell you. And of course, sometimes it's a repeated lesson over and over, depending on how much like a donkey, you are about these things. Stubborn as a mule. So I've come to learn that if you take this world and everything that we're going through, good and bad, the A's and the F's, that it's all about schooling. Can anybody want to kind of chime in on that? Maybe we have some Shastra that can back that up. Hare Krishna.
Well, I really was appreciating Sadhvi in particular. I mean, the one question that Vasudev answered for Narottam, he basically said, yeah, read the Shastra. So the fact that you're sitting and churning all these pastimes and trying to figure out how they relate to you and what they're telling you, that is what our process is meant to be. That's what Prabhupada wanted for us. So I really admire you.
Yeah, sadly, when we saw those bookmarks you have in the Bhagavatam, we just felt inspired. Thank you.
There's a,
Before, yeah, go ahead.
when we talk about, I'm so sorry, when we talk about choices, even that I wonder, because when we read about Ajamil in Canto 6, he was a very, very good devotee, reading Shastra, following his spiritual master, do everything he can to really, really be in good brahmachari. And once he goes to bring the water, then he meets the prostitute with another man doing things, and he try and he fight and he doesn't look, no. But then the angel of love comes and shot at him, so he gets in love So, I mean, are we really in control? Because he tried, he did his best, but Maya and all the angels that there are to do their job for pleasing Lord Krishna, we don't have chance.
You're exactly right. And that's why it's really, it all comes down to the moment of death. Like any one of us, I could be thinking about, feeding my cats, or I could be thinking about Krishna, So that's why we're practicing. We're practicing. Ajamil, he got the Krishna saw how much he did love him and gave to him, and he even named his son Narayan. So, it's I think there's many people that have left their bodies. My brother died at 42. He was hiking in Silver Springs, and it was 11 years ago. Actually, tomorrow I think will be the anniversary. He was hiking in Silver Springs, and we found his body 4 days later. So it was a very tumultuous time in my life. The devotees actually picked me up from the airport and took me, and we were there with the squad and all his friends and everything. Anyway, I have his car now, but when I got the car released from the police, I got in it, and there was a Hoosier song on there that a friend made him. So it was a CD that somebody made, and the song basically says that I call out to a God's name that's foreign to me. I mean, he used to joke with us all the time, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And, my son's name is Rama. He was a scientist, and he was bird watching, and would claim he was an atheist, but that's where he saw God, was in nature. He was bird watching. There was beautiful pictures of birds on his phone. And in my heart, I think Krishna, he just had Prasadam on Shringade's appearance day from Satsrup Maharaj's house that year, and just a month later, 2 months later, he's leaving his body. Who knows at that time? Could he have just thought, like, I'm suffering and I call out to Krishna? It could have happened. Or he could have just been thinking, I don't want to die. So that's all of our quests. We all have that quest, and that's why you're so lucky to be immersing yourself in these pastimes, because you're opening yourself up more and more to not just die by chance, thinking of some nonsense, but to actually be turning towards Krishna.
I think it's important to know that you're going to, it's not whether you die by chance, it's whether you live by chance. Um, if you don't take care of it now while you're alive, then you're not going to take care of it when you die. You don't all of a sudden get a choice. That choice is given to you at all times. And the answer to what do we do against Maya, if Ajamil was such a good devotee chanting his rounds and being strict, well, one doesn't go to what Maya is like, it's warfare. She's inside us too. She's got spies inside. She's got double secret agents. And you don't go to war alone. You don't jump out of the foxhole alone. You go with others. And that's where the association of devotees becomes paramount in the protection of us, because a devotee only has to say an off thing in the association of devotees, like me every day. All they have to do is say something off. And the devotees, at least the ones I hung around with, they were just like, dude, you're in the grand illusion if you think that. Or how does that serve you? And getting your moods or something. This has been decades, and there are obviously big things that come up in our lives, and you have to sort of commiserate with the devotees and say, how am I supposed to see this? I remember going through a problem that was so big I couldn't handle it in a material sense. And a devotee said to me, I'm still working on it, it's like the only way to handle this is to handle it, believe it or not, philosophically. Prayer and understand the philosophy. Go deep. You either go way under it or you rise above it. But you can't get in it. You got to back up from the front lines and hunker down and do that introspection in the foxhole. And then you got to get out once more into the breach. And as Krishna Kumari says, ours is not to question why, ours is not to do and die. So Prabhupada has given us a mission. We understand that what's really important, and then we have to somehow make our lives reflective of that priority in the now moment, even when we're alone. But as far as making decisions and all that, that's when that humility comes in, where we sort of some way try to find it. I remember, and I'll make this sorry for rambling. I remember when I first met Radhanath Maharaj, I was not even a bhakta. I was just loved the Wednesday and the Sunday feast, and he engaged us in service, helped us. We would help with the boga, and we would, bring in the bags of rice. There's always like 30 or 40 or people at the Sunday feast, which was in a classroom at the university, and uh, the the association with Maharaj, without my knowing it, was helping me to make big decisions. I would say to myself, here's somebody that is genuinely happy on the inside. Here's someone who's genuinely happy.
We lost Bhima. Okay, Sadhvi, every time we think that, oh, I don't stand the chance, Maya is too strong, we should always invoke Prabhupada and his mercy. We may be small and weak and prone to illusion, but Prabhupada is not. And we should just stick to Prabhupada. Uh, the process works. Krishna is real. Krishna knows what he's doing. Don't be a downer. Oh, I don't stand a chance. Yes, we may be small, but the other side of the equation, every time this intrusive thought comes in, think of Prabhupada and the process. Those are very strong things and they work. And you're not alone, Sadhvi. Thank you for being so sincere. Narottam Prabhu, you'll be the finisher today. Please go ahead.
I just wanted to say this is one of the, like, not to compare too much, but between Ajamil's pastimes and ours, but just we're in Mahaprabhu's movement, and we have both the mercy of Krishna and Mahaprabhu and the disciplic line. So we have even more mercy, so to speak, than Ajamil. And once we're getting more and more advanced in Krishna consciousness, we'll have our own quote unquote story, like the Bhagavatam, like devotees in the Bhagavatam. And one of the things that we have in our disposal is Srila Prabhupada's books, in the sense for distribution. You know, um, obviously, it's according to time, place, circumstance, and where we're comfortable. If we're able to, if Ajamil was able to distribute books at that point, being so disturbed, so things would have been different. I'm just saying, a little bit jokingly, what I'm, but what I just wanted to say is we have even more mercy now, like in this specific Kali Yuga with Mahaprabhu, and Krishna consciousness goes on for eternity. So, there's no level of, like, we can all keep advancing, and just having that in mind. Um, it's so important, and I think we're really lucky to have devotee association. That's a Guru Sadhu Shastra, we say it a lot of times. So if we're confused, we can always refer to those three. Um, and I think, yeah, I just wanted to, I don't know, give a little bit of, like, a, if that helps at all, because we have more mercy now because Mahaprabhu and Krishna are both here to give us that full mercy. So in other words.
Thank you, Narottam Prabhu. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada says, what's the difficulty? We have Lord Chaitanya. What's the difficulty? Prasadam is the difficulty. Kirtan, Japa, Devotees Association. What's so difficult? Srila Prabhupada is asking, the process is easily accessible in this particular Kali Yuga by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, by the mercy of the Guru Parampara and the devotees. What's the difficulty? Okay.
One last thing, Prabhu.
You sound
We mentioned chanting.
intoxicated.
Ah.
Can you
How
get
about now? How about now?
it's better now. Chinmay Radha is asking when you're coming.
Soon. We have so much produce. The freezers are full, but they're
His
refrigerators.
freezers are
And
full, he's coming soon.
yeah, yes. Thank you. Very quickly, I just wanted to say we mentioned the processes: chanting, dancing, feasting, association. Don't forget prayer, especially if you're all alone in something. Pray and then wait, introspect, wait. Prayer and patience, and then the patience. What happens is Krishna does answer you, sometimes by not answering you, and that's when you get that intelligence. You wait, and there's a response somehow, and then if you're waiting, if you're saying, Krishna, I fully expect, some type of, answer. You don't have to say yay or nay, but any answer will do, and he will give you an answer. I think it was Prabhu today giving class, Vasudev. He said sometimes Krishna gives you what you need, but he gives it in such a way that you say, I don't want that no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm done. He'll give you a look. He'll give you a look.
He'll never
So
ask for
that's
it again.
intelligence. It's like television. Yeah, it's like who was it? Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya, right? Sanjaya had television in this, right? I mean, he had like the vision in him, and he related the battlefield, right, to the blind king. Yes, am I correct? Yes. So that was internal vision, which is intelligence. It's inside you. Krishna will answer on the inside and reflect it on what's manifest about what's going on around you.
Thank you. Bhima Prabhu, you should name your next cat Narayan. At least do that.
He left you again.
He left. Okay.
Can
His
I
cat.
ask one more thing? We already I learned about the Bhagavad Gita is Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna, and even different part of Krishna's body and so on. But then I also learned about Bhagavad Gita is in Mahabharata also. So, and Mahabharata is from everything there is in Mahabharata is Krishna also, right?
The Mahabharata is also in the Bhagavatam. It's all connected. Yes.
Exactly. But I mean, we talk about very much about Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, but there are not so much talk about Mahabharata's book. May I ask if anyone knows why?
That's
Well, Bhagavad
above
Gita
my
is the
pay grade.
essence.
Yeah.
We want to hear the essence, the song of God, Krishna, Bhagavad Gita. All this other stuff is like our lives and the hoopla. It's like there's lessons to be learned, but the essence is really spoken to his dear friend Arjuna.
Yes, Bhagavad Gita is in the Mahabharata also. Is embedded in Mahabharata also.
Yeah, it is. For those who really love drama, read the Mahabharata. For those who want to hear Krishna's words, you read Bhagavad Gita. That's what I would say.
It's the Mahabharata is more than drama. There's so many different stories that are reflected in our own lives. Just think about Arjuna. Think about Arjuna losing his son Abhimanyu. That's not in the Bhagavad Gita, and yet that it shows us to show you something, a sacrifice and a love of Krishna. That even though Arjuna is perfectly aware that his own son could have been saved, his son was on the battlefield against 6 Marathis. It was unfair, and his son was killed. Not only killed in battle, but killed in an unfair way. A young teenager battling 6 great warriors all at once. Think about that. What kind of faith do you have to still say, Krishna, I'm here, I'm not going to despair? You know, when Arjun came back from the battlefield, everybody had their eyes cast down, and in that, Arjun knew that his son, his first son, Abhimanyu, had been slaughtered on the battlefield. And one would think to oneself, what's the lesson there? Is that just drama? Is that just sorrow? Is that just tragedy? Or is that something to say to us that even with Krishna as your charioteer, you're going to face some stuff? And in that, Krishna Kumari, there is the drama, and we're part of it. All the world's a stage, and each man and woman in their time plays many parts.
Thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Yeah, and in the Mahabharata, Arjun gets celestial weapons, so we can use the Shastras, different verses, as to help curb our intelligence. So, nonetheless.
Thank you, Nartam Nitai Prabhu. Sarab Prabhu, please recite the mantra.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Sending all of you lots of love, devotion, and respects. Let's radiate Krishna love all day. Show respect to everyone you come in touch with today. Hari Bol.
Thank you very much.
Nice. Nice. I'm
Thank you,
gonna go.
devotee. Hi, Krishna.
Thank you, Devaki Priti. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this yoga. Hey, Mangi, nice seeing you. Hare Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna, we love you. We need you. Come again tomorrow.